Oh boy, it's loading. Hi, friends. So I'm coming to you from room 206 today, and I'm wearing my hat because I feel like it. Here is our plan. We're going to go ahead and get started on this door project, those of us who are ready. Yeah, sure, Vectorworks, whatever. So we're going to do that. I'm going to set you up with some skills that are going to help you. Step one of Doors project is to take the door that you have. Vectorworks crashed. You can do it, Vectorworks. I believe in you. All right, it's going to try again. So while Vectorworks is opening, you can take the door that I printed out, right? That is in scale. And what you'll do is measure various parts of that door in scale in order to get good sense of size for your drafting that you will do. You're free to take some artistic license with those measurements. It doesn't all have to be precise as long as it creates a door that has the same impact as the door in your image. And you can see that on the project sheet that I handed you, where there's the door and then there's the drafted version of the door next to it, and the two of them look very similar, but they're not necessarily precisely the same. And some of that's because the picture is not from a perfectly front angle, okay? So all of that kind of stuff, you have some room for creativity. With the Vectorworks drawing, I want you to do your best to get all of the lines that you need. And we're going to talk real quick about how you might approach this project. So let's open up a new file in the CS Arts template. I'm going to close this random thing that's there. File, new. I want to use the CS Arts template. Great. Okay. So starting a fresh new file. All right, step two, we're going to save this file in the way I asked you to save the previous one up on the board, and I'll put this up on the board for this project as well. This will give us a good file organization for when I need to grade them or look at them later. So if I hit save, it's automatically going to give me the save original, right? Not save as, but you can use save as to do the same thing. I'm going to call mine Bartenstein Door project. Okay, so I'm using my name so that it's obvious who it goes with, and then door project, you can use your first name or your last name. I know who you are. Okay, so now we have our door project. We're on the scenery layer. That's good. We're going to zoom in a little bit. If you like the grid, sure, and you'll also have a better sense of it once you get started. Because we're going to be actually drafting in scale now, whereas before we were just using different shapes and it could be in whatever scale. Now I want to draw in scale. The nice thing about Vectorworks is I don't have to translate from full scale into some smaller scale, right? I can just say draw something that's 4 feet by 4 feet, and Vectorworks puts that into scale. So the first measurement that I know from my door, and this will be probably where you want to start as well, is the actual door panel, right? So this is the piece that is the physical door. They should all be relatively close to standard door height. No one wants to talk to you, Windows. Go away. They should be pretty close to standard door height, which is 6'8". Do you know that? You should know that. 6'8", that's how tall doors are. Unless they're special doors, but most doors, 6'8", are how tall they are. The one in my drawing, I believe, was like 2'10" wide. A 3-foot door is pretty standard, and I'll have a tape measure so you can like measure some stuff and get a sense of how big it is, but you should be using a scale rule on yours to figure out an approximate width of that door, and then use it also to create proportions. So let's say I want to do my door itself, and I know that it is 6'8" tall and 3 feet wide, which would be a standard door width. In order to do that, I'm going to start by drawing that rectangle. And that rectangle, I pick up the rectangle tool over here, right? Or I hit number 4. I click in one place, okay? As I start to draw, you'll notice over to the right of my cursor, there's a little underline, a little blue box, which says change in X. That's what the triangle means. Triangle means change. Have you learned that in math? It's a thing. So it says change in X and change in Y. Right now, those distances are quite large. It says the change in X is 18 feet and the change in Y is 31 feet-ish. And what I really want it to be is a change in X of about 3 feet and a change in y of 6'8". And because Vectorworks is set up to do this, I'm going to go ahead and enter those values into those boxes. And the way that you do that is you hit tab. When you hit tab, it'll put you into your first box. That's your change in x, and that's going to be 3 feet. And you have to use the apostrophe, right, to tell it that it's feet. And then over here in y, I want 6'8". Okay. So now when I hit tab again, it's going to lock my cursor, right, to those dimensions, so that when I click, I now have a door which is 3 feet by 6'8". And if you want to confirm that measurement, it's super easy to do. You come over here to your measuring tools and you get your linear dimensions, right, and you can just click and click, right, and measure. Okay, 3 feet by 6'8", and I did that in my rectangle tool. So now I'm going to hit the X key and delete those dimensions because we don't need them for the purposes of this adventure. Moving forward, as you draw the parts of your door, you'll measure them first and figure it out, right? There might be a point at which the offset tool, right, that we used in our earlier logos would be useful, right, if you want to draw an outline all the way around this rectangle, okay, something like that. The other thing that's going to be super useful to you is the snapping, right, the snapping capacity of Vectorworks. So if you look over here, there's a box, and yours may be someplace else. It may be like over here somewhere. If it's hidden, because you may have accidentally just clicked or intentionally clicked the little close button to get rid of it, go to Window, Palettes, and open up the ones that you want. So snapping is one that's good to have. Other ones that you might have lost are attributes or resource manager. Okay, so snapping is the one that tells you how your objects, various objects, are going to relate to each other. These are the blue ones, are the ones that are currently active, okay, and they're all super, super useful. So what I find most useful in the snaps is this snap to object one. So if I'm, for example, I'm trying to draw a rectangle next to this rectangle, okay, when I have snapping turned on, I'll get a little red box as I hover that I can click on, right? And then I can get another little red box here, and now that dashed red line will show up that snaps to the same height as the thing that I have, okay? That can be helpful if I'm trying to draw molding around a door. And then again, I can hit tab and get into this shifting thing, and I can say that maybe this molding is 3 inches, and I used -3 because I'm to the left side, right, just like in all of your math problems. Maybe it's a 3-inch molding, okay, so I can use that to get there. Those are kind of useful things. The other thing you may need, depending on which door you're doing, right, is the ability to make an arc or a curve, right? So there are a bunch of different arc tools up here, and you can play with them. This one might be particularly useful, point on arc mode, where you would set 2 points and then figure out what that vertical height is, okay? So click, click, and then vertical height. That can be useful if you have an arc in your situation, right, on your door. You'll see that because it's solid, it's hiding some of the other parts of our door, so that's something that you can change over here. See how now it's orange? I don't want it to be solid at all. I want it to have no fill. Now it just looks like a line. So that can be helpful to you if you have arcs or archways as part of your door project. The other thing that you may find useful and helpful is the ability to align and distribute, right? Which we, I think, looked at a little bit last time. So the idea with align and distribute would be, let's say I have paneling that goes on my door, okay? And I want it to be 9 inches wide and 1 foot tall, and it's a cute little panel, okay? And let's say I duplicate this a bunch of times, so Control D, Control D, Control D. So now I have a bunch of paneling, okay? And I want them all to go like in a vertical plane. I can set the highest one and the lowest one, right? I can select them all, and then I can go to Modify, Align, Align Distribute, And then I can say, I want you to align the tops. I don't want you to do that. I want you to distribute the centers of these things. I want you to align the left-hand side. What that does is it makes them all lined up on the left, and it makes equal space in between them. Okay, so that might be something that you use. You can also group things in order to pick them up more easily. So if I have all of these selected and I hit Control G, now they'll act as one unit and I can move them around more easily. Okay, I might want to mirror this so that I like how this looks on this half, and I want to mirror it and use it again so that there's two of them. And instead of drawing this again or duplicating it, I would use the mirror tool, which is right here. Mirror tool. You can pick it up by hitting the equals key or by clicking on this. It looks like a triangle mirrored past a center dashed line. So it says use the Alt key to select objects. So if I hold down Alt and I click on this object, that's the thing I want to mirror, okay? And then I need to create the line that I mirror it across. So I'm going to hit this top center, right, and use a vertical line, right? See, I could mirror it in all kinds of different directions, but if I use a vertical line and click, there I am. Now I have two copies of exactly the same thing mirrored across the center. So that's a good and useful thing for you. If you've drawn one half of your door frame and you need to mirror it to the other side, you can totally do that, and that'll help you out. Snapping we talked about a little bit. Feel free to ask me questions about that because I have a lot of different little tweaky kind of tricks for it. But other than that, you're kind of on your own for this one, and I want to see what you can come up with for these doors. I think it's going to be awesome. And I'm going to end this recording and start a new one about plating in just a few minutes. So that should be here either for this class or next. All right, thanks guys. See you soon.